So we are ready to go, and Seun, being a medical doctor, I think it's fitting for you to speak a little bit about that. Is there a definition? Is this thing even, does it exist in the medical realm? Talk to us about that.
Okay, thank you. So sexless marriage, there's really no definition of sexless marriage. It's nowhere in the books, so there's no precise definition, but I would say it depends on the couple. So sexless marriage, as it were, is if there's a prolonged abstinence from sex, either for medical or non-medical reasons, or deliberately or non-deliberately. And I said it's specific to couples because for some people, once in a month is fine with them. Once in 2 months is fine with them. But for some people, that's sexless if they're used to like having sex like 3 times a week. And that's why I said there's no one size fits all. There's no particular definition, so it depends on the couple. However, there are medical reasons why there will be a sexless marriage. There are also non-medical reasons, and the reason I'm saying this is because there are some people that really want to have sex in their marriages, but because there are some medical conditions that is not allowing them to have sex, they're having a sexless marriage. However, there are some who can, but because of other reasons we'll be discussing here, they choose not to. So I will be speaking now about some of the medical reasons why, there are sexless marriages. For example, very common is diabetes, particularly in men. It causes erectile dysfunction. You have conditions like high blood pressure, which affects the vessels supplying, our organs. Some other causes are like mental health conditions. For someone that is depressed, I'm sure we all can resonate with that in terms of if someone is depressed, the person won't have libido. That's one of the last things that will cross their mind. Someone who has anxiety, concerns, also some medications. So for some people, there are on some medications. It affects their hormones, and so it affects their libido as well. A few other things are, particularly in women, we have stages: pregnancy, lactation, and then menopause. But I want to say that with a caveat because I've had an instance where I know someone who, even when she was pregnant, her libido was actually heightened. So I won't say for everybody. For some people, it can be both extremes. Either it's really low or it's really, really high, right? So those are just a few. The list is not exhaustive. So maybe I'll hand over to Mr. JB at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, apart from the medical or non-medical reasons, are there other reasons? And the reason I'm talking about it is because when we gathered, faced with this topic, to even make it public, one of the issues that we're facing was because some women, the situation was we had at least 2 instances. Some women, they migrated here from Nigeria. Before they migrated, everything was fine. And then the husband came, kind of dumped them here. That's how they are seeing it now. And went back to Nigeria. And every time the husband comes back, or at least in 2 of these cases, in one case, they had not made love in 6 years. In another case, I think it was about 2 years, thereabout. And the question, what brought this to 4. So you can understand, we're not saying, oh, you have to become a sex maniac for your marriage to work or for you to know your marriage is healthy. That's not what we're saying. Every marriage, like Sheung has said, and I'm sure JB is going to echo the same thing, it's different. What works for you might not work for the other person. And there are seasons. We all go through seasons. Sometimes you don't even want to have sex. And that's okay if that's how it's working for your marriage. But in these instances, these women are now considering sex toys because they say, well, we can't file for divorce because, well, he really has not done anything. Everything seems to be okay. He's taking care of us, taking care of the children. But whenever he comes back from Nigeria, he sleeps in the basement. He really doesn't want anything to do with me. And yet they're in a marriage. So in that situation, that is one of the reasons we are calling this. It's a marriage, but it's sexless. And there are other symptoms, but for lack of knowing what other symptoms are going on in that marriage, we are bringing this awareness out there. And we're calling it out, right? So that people know that this is going on and people can begin to talk about it. I think when we talk about it, we're shedding more awareness. We're bringing light to this darkness. So, in your own opinion, what?
Thank you once again for having me here. And I believe over the series of discussions on different topics, we should have fun. But these are serious issues beyond, it's not just about fun. It's about discussing issues that affect many people in different ways. And I really wanted to say this, that I have a policeman in the house. I'm wired, sir, so be careful around me. But on a serious note, we have talked about the medical reasons. I don't think, as a lawyer, I will be speaking about the legal reasons. why there is a sexless marriage or a marriage can be sexless. But there are many, many reasons beyond, medical. But even before we go into that, or before I go into that, there's a misconception that when a marriage is sexless, then there is no love. No. A marriage can be sexless, and there can be love. Quite frankly, there can be, heightened and better love between both of them than someone whose marriage is, there's a lot of sex. And sometimes we have to differentiate between sex and love. Intimacy and sex. So, I am an immigration lawyer, and I have seen a lot, just what you were saying, just to speak to that briefly. People sometimes are separated not because they set out to be separated. Sometimes they set out, meaning well, to be separated, but not knowing that that separation will be for a long period. In between, when you have that gap, things happen. When you have not seen someone for a long time, there will develop some differences between you. And that is where you have to be deliberate in dealing with such issues. In my practice, I see, the doctors will see many people that will say, I have medical issues, that's why I'm not doing this. In my own practice, I will see many people that will say, you know what, I don't even know him anymore. I don't even know her anymore. He's changed so much. And so, are we communicating about it? Are we talking about it? Until people really sit down to know that immigration can really cause a marriage to be sexless, you have to be deliberate about it and think about it. But beyond that, I'll tell you a story. I'm a storyteller, so I'll tell you a story. Many years ago, I had a friend who was dating a girl, and then before they were intimate, he would have to kneel down and pray. And then he will pray for about half an hour, then they will be intimate, then he will pray after. And And my friend came to me and said, you know what, I don't know if, I want to be in this kind of a relationship. Because, I can see what our marriage will look like. But to her, for her, that was the way she interpreted her religion. This is not something I should be doing, and I'm doing it. And she even told my friend up front, after we get married, we will only do this for children, for the sake of procreation. And after that, that's it. So there are people, for religious reasons, that will not, their marriages will not be hot. Let me use that word. As we might think. But before I turn this over, we also often forget that culture can also play a role in this. When I was growing up many years ago, in my little town called Ijare in Ondo State, something was very rife. If a man was angry with his wife, he would punish that woman. There were two ways to punish the woman. Number one, will not eat the woman's food. Don't cook for me. Especially if the man has like 3, 4, 5 wives. Then second thing will be, I will not sleep with you. And that will be when you will see women. As a young person, you will not understand some of these languages when the older ones were talking. This man had not lifted my clothes for a year. And I'm like, what's the big deal about clothes? Just lift your clothes. What's the big deal? But those were the coded words. And as I grew older, I understood that these were serious issues and serious matters. So there are many reasons. Communication is another thing. Let's be honest. There are many, many men and women who care. And when you care and you don't discuss some aspect of caring, it can also lead to a sexless marriage. Think about this. Your wife had left home in the morning, 6 o'clock, to work, had done a lot of work, and you are looking at that woman running up and down. And you are saying to yourself, it doesn't make sense for me to go near that woman tonight. And one day becomes 2 becomes 3, it becomes a week. And because you still see, and she's complaining constantly. I have a headache, I need to cook, I need to do this. And perhaps you are not the type that will also step in and say, let me help you with some of these things. And it can also be vice versa. There are men that also work around the clock, 2, 3 jobs as well. And the woman will be considerate and say, hey, I think I should leave him alone. He's tired. The guy is snoring there. So I guess there are so many reasons why a marriage, either consciously or unconsciously, can just become sexless.
Thank you for that, JB. Now let's take it to the extreme in the sense that, again, we received a lot of messages. And one of those messages was, well, what if he was important and I never knew about it? So in that sense, when a man is important and cannot do anything.
There's a doctor there.
you are dodging this one. All right, so let me focus. When a man is important and the marriage is in trouble because they did not know, this person did not know, for example. And I don't want to say just man. A man could be important and the woman might have had some traumatic experiences that's taking her off sex entirely. But now they're married. And it becomes the big elephant in the room. How did they move beyond that?
Okay, in my own opinion, I think it's actually fraud for you to get married to someone without discussing those issues. So if you as a man, you know that, oh, you're important, and then you don't discuss it with the person you're supposed to get married to, you don't talk about it, and the person assumes that she's marrying, a regular, I'll use that term, regular man. Or you as a woman, you've had, some traumatic experiences in the past, you have post-traumatic stress disorders that will not allow you even think of having sex, and then you go ahead to marry, I would say that's a no-no, that's fraud, because marriage comes with expectations, right? So already the person you're getting married to is expecting something. And I've heard about issues like this in the past where people get married, they go for honeymoon, first day nothing happens, second day, okay, we are tired from the whole wedding stuff, third day, fourth day, and the whole 1 week or 2 weeks of honeymoon, nothing happens. That's not normal. Because everything, you're not working, nice environment. So there's something happening. And I've heard about 1, 2, 3 marriages like that where the marriage ended right after the honeymoon. The girl went back home and said, no, I can't do this. And the guy was speaking and saying, oh, sorry, keep this a secret. And she was like, you should have told me. So for me, if someone really loves you enough and has decided to accept you, it's different. So the person knows, okay, this is what I'm getting myself into. I love this person irrespective of, and the person will think of other ways to develop intimacy outside of sex, then that's fine. But so I won't judge someone, like person is expecting something, first day, second day, third day, and then you are now telling me after the fact, like after you've gotten married, that, oh, you're sorry, you've known all the while that you're impotent. There are things that can be done, but that's a separate discussion. But the issue is, so if as a woman you find yourself in that condition, or as a man, I would say, this is my own opinion, right?
Get out.
No, I won't say get out. Because people marry for different reasons. So for some people, they might be fine with that, exploring other ways of intimacy, because like I said, sex doesn't equal love. For men, I'm not a man, from what I heard, that men can sleep with anybody and not have any affections for them. But for a woman to sleep with someone, she definitely has feelings for the person.
I have to give a reporter to that. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think I'm speaking for most women here. A woman won't just see a man and just say, no, I just want to know. But a man can do that, and he's forgotten even the girl's name or how she looks. I'm not a man, but that's what I heard. So for a woman, if a woman finds herself in that situation, she will assess it and say, do I really love this person enough to be able to explore am I ready to deal with not having sex for the rest of my life? Or am I willing to explore other options or ways of achieving intimacy without sex? So I wouldn't say leave, because I got a message, from someone on that topic, and the person was like, a marriage without sex is dead on arrival. Please, that marriage is non-existent, but it's an individual thing. And if you're a man and you feel like you can, because marriage, there are 3 main reasons for getting married. 1, companionship. 2, procreation. And I think the third one, I can't remember what the third one is. Companionship, procreation, and someone can help me. No, yes, and also it should be romance. Romance. It's a restricted union where you're supposed to explore the natural sexual urges God has placed in us, right? Yes. So that's the third reason. So as a man, you can choose to say, okay, you can actually even procreate. Medicine has advanced. You can actually procreate without necessarily having sex. So as a man, you can say, okay, I choose to still go ahead with this marriage because this person is actually a good companion to me. This person, I can actually still have children, even if we cannot have sex. And then you leave I don't know how he's going to deal with, maybe the men can help me because I'm not a man. I don't know how the man would decide to now address how he's going to direct the natural sexual desires that God has placed in him. That's now left for him and his wife to agree on. There was something you said about weaponizing sex. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to touch a bit on that because some things happen which to me is a bit, it's my own opinion, it's a bit weird. It's not weaponizing sex as it were. So there are two school of thoughts, because for people who know me well, we have these discussions regularly. So there are two camps. So as a woman, you're married, obviously you have quarrels. I don't think there's any marriage where you've not had all those, little quarrels here and there. You are married to your husband, you have this quarrel, and then you say, two of you are like, no, we are not talking to each other, we are quarreling. Why should we have sex? So as long as the quarrel lasts, maybe 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, depending on how long you guys keep malice with each other or how long people are willing to settle it. After the fight, you can do makeup and then, everything goes back to normal. But I know people, they're like, sorry, when we are fighting, I don't know how they do it. They're like, when we are fighting, it does not affect that one, no. We'll do what we have to do, and then the fight continues. I really don't know how that works, And they're like, it's fine. And both of them are okay with it. The fights, they'll do what they have to do, and then the fight continues after that. And so I don't know how, So there are two camps. But that's what, to me, I think that's a bit different from weaponizing.
It is different, yeah.
There are some men that if their wife maybe they have a really major, any quarrel, they would just block all the credit cards, They would really weaponize.
That's abuse, really.
Yes, so, which is quite different from, the two camps I just talked about right now.
It's all about emotions, right? So at the end of the day, it comes down to emotions. So some people can put their romantic emotions in the parking lot, lock it up there, do what they have to do, and come back for it later.
Pick it up.
So, again, we are all created differently. And that is why sometimes a lot of people get misled when the thought is because AB is doing it this way in their home, then it has to be that way in my house. Okay? Everyone should do their own thing, whatever, they are comfortable with. But what is important, though, is to talk about it. It is important to communicate so that you know where you are and where he or she is. You know what? Most importantly, it's better to do it before you get married. To know whether this man is for me or this woman is for me or not. I like to do it every day. I like to do it once every 6 months. Okay, you know what? Let me go find my own person. Because I believe that to every man, there is a woman out there. To every woman, there is a man that will, correspond and work with them based on their needs. But one thing that we all need to be prepared for in life is that things change. The man that can get it up and do it every minute today might not be able to do that tomorrow. It's the reality of life. And that is the same thing with women too. People get into accidents, they break their spinal cord and things happen to them. What do you do in situations like that? Right? So, one of the things about life that we all need to work with is that as you walk through this channel of life, you have to be prepared to also make some adjustments. If a man or a woman loves you so much, cares for you, and had been there, intimacy was perfect, and something happened, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, everything. Again, I'm going to the realm of medicals now. And then you are so saying, you need to get it up. You have to do it. 4 o'clock, James, let's do it.
James.
And he's saying, you know what, my blood pressure is high. I'm tired. And I'm saying this because I know someone personally that died because of that pressure. You have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. And, to get it done, despite all his medical situations, he had to get Viagra, get all this. And the wife got all those things for him. Let's do it. And then he died. in the process. And that is why everyone must be cautious. You know, do you want a dead husband or wife, or would you rather have him or her alive? And then you find out that means that we'll talk about, you know, to satisfy each other. Are you with me? The other thing is this. Again, I'm in the realm of medicals. By the time I finish here today, I might actually have an MBBS.
Just like that.
You know, recently, you know, I lost a friend, and another friend was talking to me that he had talked to the doctor who had cared for him in his dying, last hours, and said, you know, one of the problems with a lot of men these days is that they have some serious medical issues, but they don't take their medications because of the side effects of the medications. And one of the side effects of the medication is that they will not be able to perform sexually. And so rather than not perform sexually, they would rather not take the medication. And a number of them will drop. So these are all serious conversations. We are having some serious conversations about all this, so that at the end of the day, do what is right for you. But at the end of the day, be very careful. You know, be very careful.
Absolutely. Yeah. The whole point of bringing this discussion, like we said, is to, one, bring awareness, for us to know that things like this are going on within us. Maybe a friend, maybe a neighbor, but at least get talking about it. And the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, the more people realize it's okay to talk about this. Don't wait till it's been 6 years of pent-up feelings, and then suddenly you are at the verge of, should I get a sex toy, before you talk to somebody about it. And that's a different matter entirely. I think that is a different realm that we will not discuss. Mm-hmm. It's totally personal. It's up to you. It's up to your belief. We will not talk about that if that is right for you. However, I do want to point out, though, that not talking or not disclosing impotency or that would lead to the marriage not being consummated is actually grounds to void the marriage.
Legally.
In law, legally. So you can actually go back to court and say, well, we've been married for 5 months and this man has not touched me. On that ground, it's over. So that is a legal ground anywhere in the world when the marriage is not consummated to have it dissolved as if it never happened. So it's not like you're actually divorcing, but it would be to make that marriage void, meaning it never took place, right? So lots of people do that. But JB, so talking about all of sexless marriage, impotency, where do we go from here? I'm sure some of the audience, they have questions for us. Where do we go from here? Because it's not so much us talking, but I'm sure there are questions that people would want to ask about this situation. Maybe someone has experienced it. Maybe, there are questions out there that you want us to discuss, or even someone can answer from the audience. Are there questions from the audience?
So where do we go from here? Do you want to take that question first, or do you want me to speak?
Why don't you speak, and then we take the question.
Can I just quickly say something?
Yeah?
You want to say something?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
You mentioned men not taking their medications because of the side effects.
Yes.
A lot of men, even when they come for consultation and they have like erectile dysfunction, they might just tell you I have abdominal pain. Because it's so attached to their ego. It's very difficult. So I'm not a man, but I'm speaking for men here. So I think it's a very difficult conversation for men to have, to actually own up to say, this is what is wrong with me, because it actually breaks them psychologically. They feel less like a man to say, because their masculinity is sort of
in question.
So that's why maybe, like you said, you had a friend that wasn't taking the medication because he knew the side effect was But if you're in a if there's trust in that relationship and you're able to, confide in your spouse, in your partner, in your wife to say, look, it takes a lot of courage. And if there's trust and the man knows that, okay, even if I, tell my wife or partner this, she's not going to leave me, she's not going to be cheating, she's not going to, I guess it's to encourage, such men to own up about that kind of thing. So
yes, I totally agree. I think the bedrock of all this is, for me, is that word, trust. If there are other issues, if a marriage is not solid in itself, obviously it can lead to sexless marriages, because, it can lead to a sexless marriage, sorry. If there's always quarrel, there are always issues, pick issues on anything, even though both parties will have loved to have sex. But, they are gradually, because of those things that are happening within the marriage, they are separating gradually. And so, if at some point the man or the woman, okay, you mentioned a man, if the man now becomes, have erectile dysfunction, it will be difficult for him to go to that same woman that they've always had quarrel. A woman that had never respected him. A woman that, everybody will know his business out there, So you are like, okay, you know what? I might as well just keep this to myself, And again, one day becomes two becomes three. And before you know it, 6 years. So we need to understand that, communication, trust will build an individual coming to you and being open and saying, you know what, this is what I'm going through now in the last 1 month, 2 months. I don't know what's going on. How do we walk through this? And that is what leads us to what next? How do we walk through this? This is our problem now. It's not your problem only. Because if you see it as his problem, then there's a problem. I don't care. That's your problem. Deal with it. All I want is ABC. But if you're saying, let's have a talk, sit down. Okay, now, what do you think could have led to this? What do we do? How do we explore solutions? Okay, I will be there with you. I will hold your hands. I will support you. Okay, those words are soothing. And at the end of the day, even when he is going to see a doctor, he doesn't want to talk, you're saying, you know what, if you don't mind, I will go with you. I will go with you. And then the man is saying, really, you can go with me? Okay, that's good, let's go. That's better than, you know what, better to go and see a doctor. I want to see a difference. I want to see that. And then the man is like, okay. And it will lead to other things. Because even the man at home that you possibly is not doing well sexually might say, maybe, start getting some ideas. Some people will say, maybe you try outside. And see the difference. Maybe it's your wife, or maybe it's your husband. So it's like a domino, like.
Pack of cards.
Exactly. So those are the things. Those are some of the problems that go. But in dealing with it, we should talk about the other ways you can be intimate without necessarily having sex all the time.
Absolutely. I like the fact that you're alluding to this as a we problem, not a his or her problem. And the sooner we identify that in a marriage as an us or a we problem, the sooner we're able to get solutions. Because if I'm right, I think sometimes erectile dysfunction has some underlying causes that should be taken care of, right? And if the man is not confident or even giving that support to talk about it, that more and more issues will persist and may never be found out. So that's what I'm getting from this. That this is a we problem, and then we can move with it. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. You've been such a great interactive audience. We hope to bring this every month. So please tell your friends. The room is not as full as we're used to seeing it. So tell your friends. But we're happy that you came out, you turned up. Tell your friends to tell a friend to tell a friend. There are lots of topics we'll be bringing us. Follow us and find out what we'll be talking about next. But these are the kind of topics we'll be bringing to the table. Tonight has been made possible by God, but we had a lot of support by people who sponsored. Many of you are eating popcorn. That's from Invex Food, the makers of Go Chips, my favorite chips. So we're going to say thank you to them. And also we have puff puff and meat pie. That was from Calf's Food in Milton. So there are lots of people helping us here. And if you would like to sponsor us, yeah, we are up for it, yay. But yeah, please stay around. Let's have pictures, and the band will be on, so you can boogie down and give them the tune that you would like. If they're not playing what you want, just tell them they're the best band in the whole of the GTA. So please, Heritage Live Band. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, before we go, JB has authored a book. So that impressive bio that you heard, he has not finished. He's also authored a book called Rejected. This is a must read. You want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, just in brief. This is about how one decision, just one decision. We've been talking about relationships and things like your decision to marry A and not B, or go for B and not C. One decision can change your life. Sure. This is how a decision by a family to come to Canada had changed their lives. And he has in it sex, abuse, identity crisis, mental health, rejection, and then love. So it has everything rolled into one. And hey, you can get a copy if you're interested.
Yes. Please get a copy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please hang around, and thank you once again for coming.